What is up, guys? Sound Alchemist here with
Gersh1.
and we're back at it to answer your questions in another episode of For the Greater.
This is a video series where we answer the questions left by you, the viewer. If you have a question for us, simply comment down below. Put question in front of your question because we get to those questions first. It's easier for us to filter through all the questions if you label them as questions. That is what Bradley Hickman did. His question is, can abhumans such as squats and ogryns be space marines? If so, I want the Iron Hands and Iron Warriors to be made up of nothing but space marines.
Squats.
That would be awesome to see, like a short version of a Space Marine. Oh wait, now with the Primaris Marines we can, because that's basically what they are.
No, they're taller versions of a Space Marine.
No, but a Space Marine's supposed to be a
Oh,
Primaris.
so you're saying this? Okay, I get what you're saying.
How does that work? Like if you have Lysander standing next to a Primaris Marine?
I don't know. It's
But it'd be weird, right?
yeah, it's like, oh, you got this really beast, mofo, and then you look up and it's like, oh shit.
That's a regular guy. He's bigger than me.
Yeah.
But anyways, no. The answer is no. There can't be Ogryn Space Marines, and there can't be Squat Space Marines. The reason for that is
Because you're looking for the top specimens to become a Space Marine. You don't want to get somebody who has a weak immune system, who's okay, so basically the opposite of Captain America. Yeah, he was weak, but he had heart, and that made him into this great super soldier. But you want to get somebody who's already great to further amplify that up, because this is a grim, dark place. We don't need Captain Americas. We need evil Winter Soldiers.
exactly.
If that makes sense.
Makes sense to me.
Makes dollars.
Next question comes from DJ Daedra. Have any Space Marines betrayed their chapter and joined a gang criminal organization in the lower levels of a hive city? I'm sure there is, but nothing major.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see why a Space Marine would betray them and then go to a gang or something like that. If anything, they'd go chaos, because if you join a gang, there's not much you can benefit out of it. You may become the gang leader, but might as well become empowered by the chaos gods and maybe become a demon prince or something like that. So that has more allure than becoming a gang leader in a hive city.
Yep, agree. Next question. Do you have one?
I've got one by That Fish Guy 95. What does better on the tabletop, the Tau or the Grey Knights? Obviously, the Tau stuff hasn't come out yet, but I'm interested in your opinions.
It's funny because we were just talking about this in the car.
Yeah. So Tau have gotten their index. Well, I was going through their index entries, and it's pretty interesting. It's not everything is out, and there's some things are missing and whatnot. But based on the index for the Tau, there's a lot of tactics and strategies that can be, siphoned to create a pretty good army. Now, that being said, they don't have a codex yet, so we don't have stratagems, we don't have the whole rule set, honor gauntlets aren't in there. So, yeah, they're kind of lacking, but on the other hand, the Grey Knights are a very powerful army if you're going up against demons. I played them a few times, and they don't do too well. They kind of get overwhelmed, because when you play Grey Knights, you're going to have a low model count, and now with all this damage being easier to inflict, you have one wound causing D6 damage. It's just gonna obliterate you.
It's easier to be tabled.
Right. So that being said, I'm gonna have to give it to the Tau mainly because of that. However, it depends on your army composition and what you're going up against.
Yep, and what type of game you're playing as well.
That too. Yeah.
Next question. I have one from John Redcorn. What's worse, being in the warp versus being in the Netherrealm, and will we ever see an apocalyptic battle report soon? Where's the Netherrealm?
You don't want to know. That's how bad it is.
Is the Netherrealm the thing from Stranger Things?
That's the upside down.
Oh yeah. The warp is worse, just because that's what I know. And then an apocalyptic battle soon. Yeah. I mean, we have enough points, right?
Yeah, 3,000 to be considered apocalypse?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really want to get a Stampa, and I really want to get a Gorkanaut or Morkanaut. Christmas is coming up. Crossing my fingers that somebody gets me that.
Wish list time.
or at least gift cards. Next question.
All right, this is a long one by Gad Yarviv. How did the Eldar actually come into being? You keep saying that they were created by the Old Ones. However, it says that the Old Ones, rather than created them, kind of adopted them. Eldar mythology says that the Eldar are descended from Isha, the goddess of harvest, and Kurnos, the god of the hunt. But how can Eldar be descendants of Eldar gods if the gods themselves are created by the Eldar believing in them? Could the Eldar gods actually be the Old Ones? Could the Chaos gods also be the Old Ones? If a human emperor can become an Eldar god, can the Old Ones be Eldar gods as well as Chaos gods?
Good theories and whatnot, but the answer is that the Eldars were slugs that were genetically boosted by the Old Ones to become the Eldar. The reason that the Eldar were created is because they needed, or the Old Ones needed, a race that had a strong psychic presence to fight the Necrons in the war in heaven. The Eldar believe in that whole, we are descendants from our gods and whatnot, because they're just like us. We believe that we are descendants from, or we were created by Jesus, but in reality, we're apes. Natural selection has made us into what we are today. It's just a little different than Eldar, though, because Eldar got the boost from the Old Ones. But yeah, so Eldar came from slug-like creatures or avian-like creatures.
Maybe slug avians.
Yeah.
Slavians.
Yep. And their purpose was to fight in the war in heaven. There's going to be a 40 facts video on the story or the timeline of Warhammer 40K. It's going to be long, but it's coming very soon. And that's going to explain the origins of every single thing.
Yeah, that's going to be a long one.
Mm-hmm. Next question.
Ultramarine 1524. How does the Imperium communicate with other species, such as Eldar and Tau? Do they all have the same language? Do they learn the language? What is this heresy?
So who?
How does the Imperium communicate with aliens?
Oh, okay, they don't. Xenos are not supposed to be communicated with. The ones that do communicate with them are the... they get help from the Order Dialogus of the Sisters of Battle. So they're actually the ones that study Xeno lexicons and help communicate. But like a regular governor...
They probably won't.
Yeah.
Unless they kind of share their space with them. Maybe do trades and stuff, but that's under the table. They don't,
Yep.
That doesn't happen.
Next question comes from Dragon Punch 903. Will the Tyranids evolve into a mega predator once all the biomass of each splinter fleet makes its way back into the hive mind? If so, that is all life is done for. Yeah. What do you think?
So if that is a thing, because obviously Tyranids invade a planet, they absorb all the biomass, and then they go up to the next one. I feel like eventually they're just not absorbing this biomass just to eat. I feel like they're gonna take a little bit of information from each planet and then send it to that little nucleus that is a hive mind, and it'll kind of evolve into a super predator, like you said. And then this predator is gonna know the tactics, the strategies, the biological information for every life form in the planet or in the solar system.
Yeah.
So the only real threat to that would be the Necrons, because there's no biomass. So they're just gonna go in there and punch face with the Necrons or with the Tyranids.
The only problem I see with a super organism at the very end is the concept of if the Tyranids are just they just happen through natural selection. It's the best way for them to, or it's the best way for a creature to survive and to thrive or whatever. Yeah. Why do different hive fleets fight each other? You could say, it's because by fighting them, they're absorbing the knowledge of what that hive fleet has had, and then the hive fleet that ends up once everybody's gone from the galaxy, the hive fleets will fight themselves. The one that comes out on top is the winner. But if that's the case, and they did that to another galaxy, why split up again and do the whole process over again? Why not just maintain that one super beastly hive fleet that's like the winner of all of them with all the information, and then just move on to the next galaxy. I don't know yet.
Tell us why.
Next question.
This one's by Harry's Boylan. Have any wars of orcs been led by something that wasn't an orc? For example, a space marine that they all fear and respect, so much so that they'll do whatever he wants.
You could say Yarick in a way. In battle in Armageddon, there were situations where orc boys wouldn't even want to fight Yarick because they were so scared.
And all orcs love to do is fight, so yeah. That's pretty crazy.
So it's pretty strong and stuff. And I think it, like what you were saying last time in one of the other videos, is like it's like a mythology is being built up around Yarick from the orcs, so much so that the orcs' own psychic power boosts up Yarick in a way. But that's really the only person that I know of.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard a few stories. I don't know if these are like legit GW stories, but I've heard of stories of like the Inquisition or some Imperial Guard regiment are like they're kind of camouflaging themselves and they're painting their faces up to look like, you know, orcs and stuff like that. So they're tricking the orc tribes to believe that this is like a mega powerful orc or something like that.
Mm-hmm. But then, like in any situation, an orc is gonna try to like fight that orc.
Mm-hmm.
Next question comes from Alan S. What about the Kurt and alien space marines? Couldn't some Kroot eat a space? Oh, okay, so Kroot, it's Kroot. Eat a bunch of space marines. So you know how the Kroot are the auxiliary to the Tau, and when they kill, you know, their enemies, they eat their enemies, and that gives them powers, right? So
yeah, over time they do evolve to the traits of whatever they eat.
So could they do that to Space Marines?
Yes, it's entirely possible, although they'll probably just get like beefier, you know, tougher.
And also, like, it's through many generations.
Right.
The Shaper has to choose Space Marine meat every single time, and I'm pretty sure Space Marine meat is expensive.
Not just that, but in order for a tribe of Kroot to kill that many Space Marines and ingest them for that many generations is really hard. Because Space Marines are supposed to be the top of the top.
Yeah, and they're limited too.
Yeah.
So you only have, what, 1,000 Space Marines per chapter? So they would have to kill an entire chapter to feed
that many generations to get those traits. And again, yeah, Space Marines are the most prevalent in the lore and in the game, but honestly, you're not going to see Space Marines battling it out, you know, every day, even in centuries. You might encounter them once every, like, 1,000 years or something.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Last question.
Monochrome. I like the sounding of the word Slaanesh. If I lived in the 40K universe, would repeating the name Slaanesh make me worship chaos, or would it corrupt me?
It depends. It seems like you are already corrupted. Because you're enjoying a word, you weirdo.
Like cellar door.
Yeah. That actually sounds pretty nice. Cellar door. Is there something that goes along with that?
Yeah, there's like, I think they said that's one of the most nicest sounding phrases in the English language.
I took a class in high school. It was a poetry class, and they were trying to teach us about stress and unstress vowels or whatever. I did not understand any of that shit. Like, they would say, okay, this is stress and this is unstress. I didn't know the difference, which is why when you listen to the 40 Facts videos that I create, my pronunciation is fucking horrible. That just doesn't click in my mind. But barn door sounds pretty nice. With that said, yes, saying Slaanesh over and over again
it'll corrupt you, because eventually Slaanesh will hear you saying, you know, her name so often, she's gonna be like, boop, corruption.
Yeah, and it's funny because she is the god, or he is the god of pleasure, and then you might become a noise marine.
Noise.
Thank you for sending those questions our way, guys. If you have more questions about Slaanesh, about words, about pronunciation, comment down below.
And yeah, we'll go from there. We do this 3 times a week, so if we didn't answer your question today, check back tomorrow or the day before, sometime in that time span, to see if maybe we got to your question. As always, I'm the Sound Alchemist,
Gersh 1.
and we are out.